Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Family Meal Podcast. My name is Grace, and I'm very excited to be here. So, I know what you're all thinking. What is this podcast about? What could this young lady have anything to add to the already overpopulated podcasting sphere? And I will tell you, it is the only thing that I have any credible, huge amount of knowledge about, and that is the restaurant industry, and especially the restaurant industry in light of COVID-19. COVID-19 has huge implications for the restaurant industry as a whole that are going to change the trajectory of this industry for a long time. We have already had to make major changes to the way all operations run, to the way we think about our jobs, everything. So this podcast is about COVID, restaurants, the implications it has, the changes that have been made and have to be made, and all the messy stories in between that are so quintessential of this industry. I realize that a lot of people who have never worked in the restaurant industry before have absolutely no idea of how it works in general, and they certainly have no idea of how it's changed because of COVID. So I hope that this podcast is in that way very informative, but I also hope that it's fun. I hope you get a laugh out of it, and I hope it makes you feel a little bit more, I guess, informed as a consumer when you do start going out to restaurants, if restaurants are opening back up where you live. And you're thinking about going out, but you feel unsafe. So that way you can make informed decisions about where you want to spend your money, and it'll make you feel comfortable if they're all doing the right thing. So some things we're going to talk about. We're obviously going to talk about stories. I've got heartwarming stories. I have Karen stories. I got everything. We're going to talk a little bit about what it means for you to be a good customer in light of COVID-19 in a restaurant. I'm hoping to have some special guests on, people who work in the industry, people who are owners of restaurants, chefs, things like that. Most of that is probably going to be my mom. And we're going to talk about all kinds of topics, restaurant finances, how tipping works, and how you should change the way you think about tipping under COVID. And I'm not just saying that because I'm broke. Things of that nature. I'm very excited about a lot of the topics that we have planned. I think it's going to be really informative for a lot of people. Give you some insight about things that you never knew you didn't know. And more importantly, who the heck am I? Well, my name is Grace. I am a waitress. I have worked in the restaurant industry pretty much my entire life. As I kind of just mentioned, my mother is an executive chef. She currently is an executive chef at a restaurant it's a very complicated situation. She doesn't own it, but a nonprofit owns it. It's very strange. I live in New Jersey. That's important because that is going to have a lot of influence on the kinds of guidelines and regulations that I'm talking about, because those are the only ones that I live and work under. So they might be different where you live. But I think it'll be interesting to be doing it in New Jersey because we're kind of being very cautious. For example, we were supposed to be able to open for indoor dining yesterday, but earlier this week, Governor Phil Murphy decided that was not safe. And I think a lot of people agreed with him, though a lot of restaurants knew that meant they were not going to be making the kind of money they might need to. So that's just important for you to know. If you hear me talk about guidelines, they are probably New Jersey guidelines unless I otherwise specify. And a little bit more personally for me as a server, COVID-19 has completely changed the way I do my job. So we are open for outdoor dining, but that does mean I am masked all the time from the time I step onto the property until the time I get in my car and leave. And I think probably most dramatically what's changed is that, I've worked in some capacity in the restaurant industry my whole life, and I always came from it from a place of care and a place of wanting for people to enjoy themselves, enjoy their food, have a nice night together, and just have fun. And this has made me look at my job completely differently because I now have to come to terms with the fact that I danger to other people. I'm going up to your table and I'm touching things, and if that person has it and I bring it to another table, I'm putting people at risk all the time, and that it's strange to have my guests a little bit afraid of me sometimes and scared for me to go up to their table and ask them, how's dinner tonight? So I have to now realize that my job has changed from just taking care of folks to really protecting and advocating for the safety of these people when they're out having a night out, which means I do have to talk to people sometimes who are not guests or who are going to be guests about, no, you cannot do that because you are being a risk to my other patrons and I cannot have that. So it's very strange. It's a very strange new world we're living in. It's a weird day when your waitress has to come up to you with Clorox wipes to wipe down the tablet so that you can pay your bill. But hey, it's the time we live in. I'm grateful to have a job. I'm grateful that a lot of my patrons have been very, very lovely considering everything I put them through. Considering everything all the spiels they have to go through and the temperature checks and the being masked whenever they're not at the table and all of those kinds of things. I'm very grateful for how kind people have been. So yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun on this podcast. This is an ever-evolving situation, so things will change as time goes on. But I'm to be putting this information out there and to be hopefully helping you feel more informed from the inside kind of perspective. So sit back, relax, get comfy, and yeah, this is the Family Meal Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.